So just in case you're wondering why I'm up here instead of Jessica, is because my very special friend and the other co-founder at Blockchain India is up for sharing his insights now. So let's welcome Kumar Anirudha on the stage, where he's going to be talking on UPI and blockchain, and what he's doing around that space.
Thank you, Akshay. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. It has occurred to me that the only thing between you and your lunch is me, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up as soon as possible. All right. We've been hearing a lot of about blockchain and UPI, about our blockchain specifically since morning. So we thought of bringing something new to the table on going from the fiat currency world. So my name is Kumar Anirudha. I run a startup called Acyclic Labs, and we work on blockchain and DLT-based products, specifically on Ethereum and IOTA. In addition to that, yeah, as Akshay mentioned, we started Blockchain India, and that was the beginning of my journey with blockchain as well. In the entire learning curve and knowing about blockchain, the technology, the cryptocurrency, the entire ups and downs of it. In addition to which, I'm also part of a steering committee member of IoT Evangelist Network, which is IEN. I'm also an advisor for Tangle Universe, and I also consult startups on backend architecture and Python and so on. So, right when we were getting started with blockchain, the one thing that blew our mind was the decentralized nature of blockchain and how it can impact the entire backend technology in general. So somebody would come up to us and said, I can just create a mobile application and I don't need to have a backend architecture. I can just connect with the smart contracts and get started with it. That was insane. And that was, I think, one of the first things that got me and some of the early people in at least the Bangalore ecosystem excited about it. So we started exploring more, and then a lot of things happened along the way. And I think a lot of you guys were a part of that journey when some people started taking advantages of the crypto trading and all, and it just went haywire, sideways right from there. Government started to find ways to regulate it, even ban it, or put you in jail, so to say. So we started figuring out how to deal with that scenario, the entire scenario, and integrate. Let them be happy and let us be happy. Let us have the ability to integrate blockchain wherever we want, and let them be happy that we are still transacting on a fiat currency world. So with that, we started with UPI and blockchain. For those who don't know what UPI is, we'll get there in a moment. For those who don't know what blockchain is, can we go back? I don't think this is working. So for those who don't know what blockchain is, we actually have it right here. It's a decentralized network. It's an open, transparent, distributed database. Of course, you might argue that right from the previous panel, there's different types of blockchain: permissionless, private, public, and of course there is. But where we are coming from is the entire philosophy, which started 10 years ago with one white paper, and it just went overboard right from there. So we're going to stick to this. The next one is the building blocks of blockchain, what actually it requires to have this distributed network and the decentralized system in place. One very first thing is consensus. When we all agree up to a certain point on what is supposed to be done. Smart contracts is also an essential pillar where how this particular data can actually go up to the network. Then once it's up on the network, the data, it's actually distributed amongst all of us, so we all share the same database, so there's no chance of corruption, so to say, corrupting the system entirely. And a decentralized system where no one person is actually having the control on the network, where we all are equal members, and everybody is essentially a master in this particular have a master node in this particular network. So from there, to maintain these four pillars, one essential key key part of it was tokens, which was brought forward. What tokens essentially ensured was it prevented spam. If we just keep the gates open, we'll find people flooding in, and like not just the relevant people who are here, but also people who just wants to be here mostly for the negative reasons, right? So that's one thing that the token prevents. Immediate settlement. You don't have to wait for your checks to get cleared in a week or two. You don't have to wait for 3 to 4 days for PayPal or even a net banking transfer to get cleared. Peer-to-peer transaction. You don't have to wait for somebody else. So we just saw how a decentralized system works. Access to everyone. It's not restricted, or I don't have to maintain a particular bank balance to actually get, let's say, for example, an Amex Black Card, right? Anybody is actually eligible to just get started with the tokens, and lower fee. That's very critical, because a lot of us running small businesses were losing a lot of money trying to do businesses overseas with the remittances and so on. So that's what the tokens ensured. But I'm not here to talk about tokens, right? I'm here to talk about how to integrate with fiat currencies. So what we essentially found out was there already existed another network on which we can actually transact and have the same values of it. It's called Unified Payment Interface, which provides the same exact features what token provides, right? It can prevent spam, obviously, in the same way, if properly integrated, obviously. Immediate settlement, it happens almost instantaneously, and you can have peer-to-peer transactions. There's less exchange with the banking networks. They will obviously be working around some of the things on top of which the IMPS layer, the UPI is built. Access to everyone, anybody can get started, and also the addresses are easy to remember. You can just have the phone number @UPI, or let's say my name Ani @SBI or ICICI, and that's my address to which you can transfer. Lower fee. Right now it's zero fee, right? UPI is actually practically free. The smallest amount of fee that's there has been incurred by the merchants. Maybe down the line they can have us as users bear the transaction fee. That's still okay. That's like very minimal a fee as compared to the rest of the transactions that has happened over the years. So, and who is actually using this? How can you use this UPI? If you have any of these apps, you actually are on UPI. So how many of you don't have any of these apps? Just 1, 2, 3. Out of this room, there's 3 people don't have any of these apps, and that actually speaks the volume of it. In March 2019 alone, UPI had a volume of almost 800 million transactions. That's far more than what Amex has, and far more than what Visa or MasterCard has. And that's one of the breakthroughs that the Indian payment network has shown over the years. What we have done is we have allowed you to use a public blockchain network and still use fiat currency integrated with it. So essentially, it's still a public blockchain. So instead of using tokens or cryptocurrencies, you'll be using fiat currencies. So if, let's say, a buyer is sharing a document with a seller, updating, let's say, an ownership for a car, right, the smart contract, the data will obviously go through a block transaction. It will go through a protocol which via our own platform, and then once it gets updated on the public blockchain, the seller will obviously be notified on the data being updated. And this is essentially just as easy as it can be. When you try with MetaMask, you essentially are using an application. MetaMask opens up and it allows you to transact tokens, essentially Ethereum or any other tokens. In this case, a collect request will go to your app, and whichever app you use, you can just pay via that, and it will get processed via that. The architecture, if we call, the blockchain still lies at the very base layer of it. So you can use any blockchain. Right now we are using Indium Network, which is a proof of authority-based permission public blockchain. Why we're using that's another story. I'll keep that for the Q&A. This is the layer that we have as an infrastructure where we are integrating the protocol along with the blockchain and also interacting with the smart contract side of it. So what we essentially do is these functions, what you're trying to run when your dApp actually initiates a function, it will initiate a collect request to your mobile. Once you pay, the banking network will send us a callback, and we'll process this transaction on the blockchain, exactly as how it works for a tokenized system. We also have a platform on which you can directly manage your smart contracts, manage your smart contracts. But of course, you want to use your own applications, right? Your own mobile applications. And the original philosophy of the example that I gave in the very beginning of how you can just create a mobile application, you don't need a backend, right? So you can have, so all the smart contracts that you deploy, some APIs will be auto-generated, which you can integrate directly in your own platform. So you essentially don't need a backend at all if you just have enough number of the smart contracts to be used. So that's essentially what, how it all operates. For the enterprises, obviously, there's another solution that we are working on right now, which we will release sometime in August. That's the planned one. And you can actually have all the architecture and all the platform of Sentinel packaged in a box application and deployed it somewhere. We named it Box because obviously we are fans of Silicon Valley, and coming from there, the Box solution of it, right? So that's how we came up with the name of it. So what all you can do with these applications? Some of the things that we have been busy working on are certificates on blockchain, conditional payment. Certificates are pretty much easy. The same way there'll be an ownership certificate for any educational institution. Conditional payments, you can have smart contracts made for UPI. As soon as the payments go through, you can have it integrated with a third-party app. Or vice versa. If an application happens, then probably this payment system will go through. So all these conditions you can directly configure on the smart contract and filter via the UPI channel itself. Supply chain, e-voting, music copyright, and so on. And we are anyways working on with a couple of more things which will release very soon. And it's not just limited to this. It can be visualized across a lot of different domains-wise industries, and we can actually have all of this. I mean, wherever you can actually use a public blockchain, just think about it. If you can write a smart contract, you can use a smart contract-based solution in India via this platform. The only thing that we wanted for you to have was you wanted to use blockchain. There was this roadblock of regulations and volatility of the cryptocurrencies, which you are not able to. Now you can. That's all pretty much what we have for today. Thank you, and we'll take if we have time, we can take some questions, or we can do it offline.
I think actually we're just coming on to lunch, so I heard some stomachs rumbling over here. So perhaps people can come and ask you questions after.